And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan. You know, I don't normally record on weekends, but considering what you're doing, we had to. We just had to. I think I'm the first to get you live. So here you go. What's happening, man? Like I woke up to your video this morning and now it is absolutely everywhere. So explain to the people out there, what are you smoking to do this? Why are you even doing it? Or, you know what? Just explain to the people out there, what'd you do?
Really, this started in 2023 when Tim Houston banned everybody in Nova Scotia from entering the woods because apparently hiking causes wildfires. Now, at that time, I filed a judicial review with the Nova Scotia Supreme Court on charter grounds, and ultimately they ruled that I didn't have standing because you can't stand on your rights alone in a Canadian court. There has to be money involved, and so they said had I gotten fined, then I would have had standing. So in order to find out this time, when they did it again in 2025, whether hiking is legal in Nova Scotia, I went out yesterday. I went to the Department of National Resources. Actually, those are where the conservation officers work, the guys who hand out the fines, the $25,000 fines for walking in the woods. And I gave them a heads up that I was coming. I didn't go in there sticking a camera in their face. I just kind of took a little time to smooth things over a little bit, just to, say, hey guys, it's not about you or anything like that. Like, Tim Houston's the real target here. So nothing personal. And it went well, a little professional courtesy, I think went a long way there. They did issue me the fine. It was actually $28,872.50. And I was like, I thought it was 25,000, and they were like, yeah, taxes, court costs, and victim surcharge. A victim surcharge. I was like, I victimized the trees. Like, I'm the victim here.
You know what? You did not ask their permission before penetrating the woods. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem. We need permission now. And that's not how a free society operates. You may do as you will, but don't harm another. That's the guiding principle. And so where there is no harm, and kind of as I think the absurdity of the victim surcharge highlights, there's no victim in this crime. So it seems to me like the state, the province of Nova Scotia is completely out of order here. And when it comes to enforcement, like their job is supposed to be to keep everybody's hands off of one another, not to keep people from, let's say, enjoying the culture of their community, as is their human right under their precious UN human rights charter that Canada signed on to. But of course, that's the feds, not the province. So I guess they don't really respect human rights. But I digress. I think we're going to find out whether we have any rights or not soon enough. Oh, and the JCCF has thrown their hat in the ring, so they're going to represent me.
Oh,
it's going to be great. Yeah.
Dude, I could have told you. We talked about it when was it? On Wednesday? I think you were on the show, Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember. Either way, sometime this week, you mentioned that you would do something like that. And I knew for a fact that the guys from the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms would do everything they can to get you as to represent you again, because they're already representing you right now. And they're awesome. John Carpe, I've recorded so much content with him. Absolutely love what they're doing. And they're the perfect people to actually take this to court, considering that they were able to prove that the government's use of the Emergency Act was unconstitutional. So they were part of the team that was able to prove that. So having a situation like yours is just icing on the cake, if you ask me, because you did it on purpose. Let's be clear here. And I've seen a lot of comments out there, and I kind of went to your defense on a lot of massive accounts where people are calling you really they're very disrespectful in the way that they're calling you, because they're basically saying that all you're doing is going against the government. You don't really care about anything. It's just, you're just trying to do this for clicks. You're just trying to do this for likes. And we talked about this a few days ago live on the show, where you said you were going to do this because this is just not right. And you were told in the past that you did not have a fine, so you didn't have standing. Yeah. Now you did it the right way. You did it very politely. I love, if you guys haven't seen the video, you need to go to Jeff Easley's page, and 6 minutes long. great, like absolutely great. You couldn't have been more respectful, but at the same time, $28,000 for you going into the brush. You weren't even really in the woods. You were just in long brush.
Yeah. There's a greater principle
Is
at
why.
play here.
Why?
And all
Why
of
do
these
you care? Why do
degenerates.
you care? Why do you
Because
care?
Because I probably may have seen more young Canadians loaded in the back of a C-130 Hercules aircraft in a flag-draped coffin than potentially any other living Canadian during my tour in Afghanistan, 2009-2010. I worked with the UAV detachment, so I wasn't a combat vet. I was an electronic specialist, and I saw the feed every single night. Like it was like more than once. I would watch them die at night and attend their ramp ceremonies the next day because I worked night shift the whole time I was there. And so I understand what it takes to win these freedoms, especially after they've been lost. And I find it to be a gross indignity to our fallen, whose legacy is these freedoms, by the way, a gross indignity to them. The way that our leadership has treated their legacy like toilet paper over the last several years. These aren't options. I don't need your permission. There's a reason why we have rights in the first place. And it has everything to do with survivability, by the way. Authoritarian states, people don't do so well in the old survivability department like we do over here. And they don't flourish the same way that we do. And the UN Human Rights Charter even recognizes that in order to achieve sexual self-actualization or human flourishing, whatever it is, that you need to be able to go walk in the woods once in a while, So, with all due respect to the law, of course, that's what I think is lacking here is, they may interfere with my liberties under very particular circumstances, but the measures put in place have to be logically connected to the goal under our Constitution. This is the Oakes test, right? Where they have to be logically connected to the goal. There's no logical connection between walking and wildfires. And also, the measures put in place need to be minimally impairing with respect to my liberties, which they are not. They're not even, sectioning things up according to the weather fire index, because there are different regions all over the province that are at different states of, weather fire index. And they just gave us a blanket ban. Why? Because it's easy for the bureaucrats and they feel like their asses are covered. Well, that's too bad, guys. You're going to have to man up and learn to deal with a crises like grown-ups and actually engage in some management for a change. Instead of just your failure to plan constantly resulting in an emergency on my part. I'm fed up. I think like most Canadians, I was a long time ago. Anyway, I guess we got them, on a legal matter now. And I think that is where the key battle space is. I'm here doing all kinds of interviews and stuff because politics is downstream from culture. So we got to keep a foot in that cultural battle space too. But where we're really going to get bottom line results at the end of the day, I think is still going to be in the courtroom, even though we're going to get some really crappy decisions along the way. I think in the aggregate, things will gradually kind of come back in our favor, in humanity's favor. We just got to keep up that fight. And I think this agenda will fall apart. It's probably going to take a few years. You and I have talked about it before around the 2030s and stuff. And the important thing now, I think, is to mitigate the damage between now and then and try to set as much good precedent as possible.
One of the things I want to tell to the people that are joining, ask questions. Please ask questions in the comment section. That's the whole point of this show. Like, we run this show 5 times a week, 2 hours a day, because we like to take comments. We like to interact with the listeners. So before I ask my next question, please, if you have any questions for Jeff, if you have any comments that I should show to Jeff, I should show live, let me know. This is the whole point of doing this live. We want to hear from you. So let us know what you think in the comments below if you have questions. Jeff, I wanted to ask you, because you and I we know each other enough. We've recorded enough together to know that I'm a bit more conspiracy theorist than you are.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good reason why I hide a tinfoil hat behind me at all times so people can know. But do you think that those lockdowns are any different? Because I call them climate lockdowns. Love that term. This is what I'm going to call them from now on. I think that they're climate lockdowns. Do you see any difference between those lockdowns and the lockdowns that we had 4 years ago in 2020 or 5 years ago during
I mean,
2020? Do you think it is about safety or is it about control?
oh, it's 1,000% about control. Like Seneca said, all cruelty springs from weakness. So I think that we have some very weak leadership at the helm right now, and they're cowards. So this has everything to do with covering their asses, and they will clamp down on us as hard as they possibly can. For what? To further their own careers? Like, this is, I think, a gross indignity to to us, the citizens of Nova Scotia. They're blanket punishments for all, and because there's the idiots exist, you have to treat us all in that vein. It's just. It's insulting. It's insulting to my intelligence. I am not a child of this nanny state. So let my people go, Tim Houston.
It's interesting you say that, because yesterday somebody was complaining, saying that these bans are acceptable. We need to respect them because, anecdotally, the day before he was at his friend's house and his friend's wife left a cigarette burning into their fire pit, and next thing you know, the pit was on fire. So I'm like, so basically what you're saying is, because that woman's an idiot, we need to be penalized because of other people's incompetence. So Jeff, you know what? Stay home, because there's idiots out there that might burn down the forest. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Is this really where we're at now?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not even a smoker. Like,
Yeah.
Well, what's next? Are you going to give me a lung surgery for cancer? I mean, there's no there's just no logical connection to any of this. I don't carry a source of ignition on my person. I don't even carry a lighter. When I'm going into the woods. So
that first video was awesome. This is the woods. This is not the woods. Why do you think they're doing it? Like, at the end of the day, because as much as I can believe that it's the lockdowns, like, to me, it's all part of an agenda 2030. We've spoken about this before. This is just yet another test to see if we're going to comply or not. And as we talked this week, the best way to fight your governments to make them look stupid, to laugh at them. And that's what you're doing. You're literally laughing at them, because when this hits the courts, they're going to look absolutely fucking ridiculous. They taxed you on top of the $20,000
tax on my
fine. $3,000 a fine on the $25,000 fine. But what do you think? Because Prairie's having a good point. So is it climate change, or is it arsonists? Or is it the minds of uraniums that they don't want us to know that exists in Nova Scotia?
These people are way too incompetent to pull off any conspiracy, the likes of what you're describing right now. And I think I said on your show before that I'm a very strong proponent of Hanlon's razor. Never attribute malice where ineptitude will suffice to explain human outcomes. And just with the sheer level of gross ineptitude that we've seen in our managerial class, I think the best part was when we were all like, glory holes. Yeah, not so much. So they tell us that in order to avoid getting COVID, we should use glory holes, and the post office collapsed. Here in Nova Scotia, they fired all our nurses, so the healthcare system collapsed. They're just like ruthless sycophants, typical bureaucrats, and they're professional ass coverers, fearful and squishy and cowardly. And I think what we're seeing is that this cruelty that we're experiencing from those fat, gross retards is the result of their inherent spinelessness and inability to manage a bathroom break for a Boy Scout troop.
So you don't think they're taking advantage of a situation? You don't think they're smart enough?
No, they're not smart enough to pull off a conspiracy. There's no way. They're super dumb. Look at them. They are dumb.
this is definitely a place where you and I are always going to disagree. I tend to give credit to people for being smarter than they look. Just fucking look at me, right? And I believe that there's an agenda, but I fully understand where you're coming from. And man, I don't know if you're looking at some of the comments there, but everybody seems to be just good on you, Jeff. We should get a kayak jaunt in. Did you see what's going on in BC? That's probably what it's referring to. But there's
now.
that you can't go on a kayak, you can't go on a on your board anymore. You can't fish. It's $25,000 fine as well. That I started seeing that happening this morning. So did you consider snitching on yourself? Sylvie's making a good point. Have you considered that? You should snitch on yourself, saying that you're going to do it again.
I read that people were calling the snitch line and we're not getting through. So I just called DNR directly and I spoke to the supervisor for the guys who issue the tickets. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come pay you guys a visit at your office. So I'm, being, it's super convenient for you. I'm not putting you out. I'm doing everything I can to make this as smooth and nice as I possibly can. And it went well. So no need to call the snitch line. I found a direct line to the guys who issued the tickets, and we went that route.
So what do you think other people in Nova Scotia should do? Should they let you handle all the heat, or should they also try what you tried, as in overload the system? Because that I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of, this is not a violent act. I would never endorse violence. I would never endorse doing something that would destroy a neighborhood, Antifa. But I would encourage people to do what you did, to just walk into it knowingly, calling them first to let them know that you're going to do it. But do you think that people should overwhelm the system by just doing what you did?
Well, what I'd aimed to do there was hopefully set an example for civil disobedience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's kind of been lost in the last several years as well, is our civility. So the emphasis is on the word civil. And, I think that if you just extend a little bit of respect and courtesy toward the people that you're dealing with, and you'll probably get a lot farther than you would. Now, that's not to say that I haven't absolutely screamed blue murder at those cops when they came in to crack down on the convoy. But this situation is not that. That's not the style of leadership that this calls for. So, I got evaluated on adapting my leadership style to the task and purpose and this kind of thing. So, I think that in this case, especially since it's Nova Scotia, and we're all neighbors and friendly and all that stuff, let's do it the right way and set an example for everybody in terms of how to deal with authorities when you're engaged in an act of civil disobedience.
I want to take this question because this is important. We've spoken about it before, but we'll talk about it again. So Bob Fact Checker is asking, Jeff, are you going to self-represent in court or hire a lawyer? Actually, you can answer that question, but go ahead.
JCCF reached out and they said, that they would help me. So I'm all set with JCCF and I love those guys. Chris Fleury represented me for my convoy stuff. And it looks like we are going to keep going with that. So like next stop, Supreme Court, if they will hear it, I don't know. But I don't know. I might be getting over my skis right now. We'll see what happens with the paperwork and stuff like that. But I love the JCCF guys. I think they're exactly the kind of organization that we really need in this country. So I'm so glad that they're here, and I get to keep working with them on these really important matters of civil liberties.
JCCF, for the people that don't know, that is the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. They are a pro bono organization. They do not charge their clients. They specialize in constitutional freedoms, and they do take donations. And just like Jeff, I have I record a lot of content with their president, that is John Carpe. Absolutely love that guy. Great work that he's doing every single day. So if you guys believe that what they're doing is a great thing, I know that they accept donations. So feel free to donate to them, because again, it's 100% pro bono. Yeah. They do not charge, but they do all the work, and they're phenomenal lawyers. Like we said earlier, they were able to prove that the government overstepped. It was unconstitutional. Their use of the Emergency Act during the lockdowns was unconstitutional. And during the COVID, not the COVID, sorry, but the the Freedom Convoy was unconstitutional.
Yeah,
So
and that I should give a shout out to Eddie Cornell, who was one of the co-applicants for that case. He's another bro of mine from Veterans for Freedom, one of the co-founding members. We all showed up in Ottawa together. So, big props to Eddie. He's one of the best men that I know. Like you said, the JCCF was there as well. They provided me with a lawyer for the convoy and Rolling Thunder, and now this. And I tell you guys, like, these are the kinds of lawyers that you want to work with. There are plenty of lawyers out there who give the profession a bad name, but these are pretty stellar people in my experience. So, I just can't sing their praise enough. And Julian wants me to let you guys know that you can sign up for the emailing list for live updates on my case. Obviously I would appreciate it if everybody would donate, because I'm really pro JCCF now. They're great.
I've done so many deep dives in like Bill C2 with John Carpe. I've done a bunch of deep dive on bills that are trying to be passed by the government right now, and they're awesome. They're absolutely great, and they're ballsy as hell. Like the guys are not scared to speak the truth, and they do it from a legal standpoint. They're not a yahoo like me that doesn't give a fuck about swearing and saying the wrong things, because I don't always get it right. But they're professional lawyers with balls, which we need some of those in Canada.
Yeah, 1,000%. And principles, I think, is that's another thing that's really lacking across the legal profession, especially in Ottawa. But the people that I've dealt with, like I said, they're wonderful people. They're very principled people. They're, into this kind of work for the right reasons. So yeah, support if you can, guys. It's a really great organization.
So, guys, if you're enjoying this type of format where we answer questions from, not only do we go live, but we answer questions from the commenters, because here we go, we're going to address another one right now. Make sure to like, make sure to follow. If you're on X, make sure to restream this stream. That's how you can help us put this in front of more people. But if you want to join the conversation, come to the YouTube channel at the Political Orphans. Like, subscribe, because we do this every single day. And you know what? Jeff has agreed to join us every Wednesday. So you'll get to see this. How should I describe you? What's the name? I don't know how to describe you right now. This Patriot? I think Patriot's a good term. I think Patriot's a solid name for you.
Yeah. I think that's right in that.
You accept the term Patriot?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course I do. But I'm not patriotic for the frozen communist shithole of post-nation state of Canada. Like, I'm not patriotic for that. I'm patriot. It's about the principles. It was always about the principles, and the flag is supposed to stand for those principles. And I'm afraid no longer. So, if that's just jingoism, this elbows up stuff and rally around the flag and all that, that's just jingoism, tribalism. That's a step backward. You're backward people for engaging in that kind of behavior. True patriotism comes with principles, especially, like the human dignity and camping rules, the idea that we should leave a brighter future for generations to come. None of that stuff is being adhered to right now. And that's all the things. Those are all the things that I'm patriotic for. And
that's why the flag of the show is upside down, because we are not, it's not Canada right now. So let's take the BTC microdoser. Oh, microdoser, that's cool. Are you concerned about getting criminally prosecuted and eventually thrown in jail? Recent history in Canada has shown us that this is a possibility, and he's probably referring to Tamara Lynch and Chris Barber, the fact that their mischief case, instead of like you getting a few $1,000s in fine and what was it, 50 hours of community service, they're looking at 7 and 8 years of a potential 10. So what do you think? Are you worried about this?
This is not Ottawa, so I don't think we have quite the level of zealotry that we see with respect to patriots. Like the people in Ottawa, way too many people. Some of the best people I know also live in Ottawa, but most of them absolutely hate patriots. Anybody with virtue, basically, because it's bureaucrat town, and these are people who have spent their entire lives avoiding every challenge in life, and so they've never engaged in any character development, and they end up in these positions with an incredible amount of power over our lives. And they get off on pushing people around because they're just throne sniffing sycophantic power dogs. And a lot of that comes from, that weakness that I spoke about before, that cruelty. So I guess there's maybe Maybe there's kind of a shadow of a concern that I might end up facing, criminal prosecution or something like that. But I don't think I have a reasonable concern to take any steps to guard against that. They didn't charge me with mischief. I mean, how could you? We just went in and had a pleasant conversation, and they gave me some paperwork.
No, you did it the right way. You couldn't have done it any better. It was so clever the way you did it. And unfortunately, on the video that I made for Instagram, I had to chop it down to 3 minutes, or else it's too long for a reel. But man, the whole conversation that you had, you never showed their faces. You kind of see them in your glasses because your glasses are extremely reflective. But outside of that, you cannot identify who those people are. And I like the fact that you're thanking them at the end. Hey, thanks for being cordial, I think is the term that you're using. But thanks for keeping it polite. There was no swearing. You did it exactly how it needed to be done to make them look like fucking idiots. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a need to outclass our opponents here, and that's how we roll in the West.
Yep.
We are the ones with principles. It's not all about power for us. Our soldiers, it's not about winning by any means necessary. Like, we have to engage in a disciplined application of force that's as adherent to our common principles as possible. So, that's we do everything we can to mitigate exposure to that kind of moral injury, for our soldiers in the world. We kind of got to get back to being the West and Canadians. We got to get back to being Canada and get back to being that kind of patriotic and that kind of a country again.
We have to stop being so complacent and start thinking with our heads, because what you did was not violence. I don't condone that type of violence. I don't condone all the things that the Free Palestines are doing, the thing that during George Floyd, what they did. I don't condone what the Antifa is doing, but doing it the way that you did with respect is how you expose how ridiculous those, because clearly those bans are unconstitutional. And this kind of links up with this question. Link 8 is asking, Jeff, do you think that the government should have simply just updated us every afternoon like they do, like they've been doing since May, to achieve the same goal that they're expecting? They're probably saying, like, where I used to live, you would have an indicator, like you would show up where my house was, you'd show up and there would be a board that would tell you today, this is the risk of fire. So if you're at that risk, please don't start a fire, as in, even if it's in a fire pit, like, just don't take the chance, it's too dry. So what do you think could have been done instead of completely banning people and fining them $25,000 plus tax?
Well, it needs to be minimally impairing. So, if you wanted to tell me that I couldn't go into the woods with, a source of ignition on my person, I think that is about as heavy-handed as you could possibly get, while remaining within that requirement of minimally impairing and logically connected to the goal. I think they could have, taken steps first that were less impairing, and they would have been able to achieve, I think, an acceptable level of safety. We're talking about managing risk, and that's the thing that these squishy, idiotic bureaucrats don't understand. There's no such thing as not taking risks. Risk is something to be managed, not avoided. These cowards expect us all to live in fear because they refuse to grow a spine.
What's the expression? If you're ready to trade your freedom for safety, you deserve neither.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin.
It wasn't me, I can tell you that much. I did not, but I think you're right. I think it is Benjamin Franklin. But at the end of the day, it couldn't be truer today. If you're ready to trade your freedoms for safety, you deserve neither.
And you will have neither.
That
was something that I put a Christopher Hitchens quote at the end of the first video where I was doing This Is the Woods. And Christopher Hitchens, loosely paraphrasing, it's like that the true essence of a dictatorship is not one of extreme predictability and order, but one of unpredictability, where the subjects must never fully appreciate whether they're following the rules or not, and must never fully understand, their expectations, something like this. I'm butchering it, of course, but Christopher Hitchens was a very eloquent man, and but that is what we're living under, right? We're living under a dictatorship. They don't just
100%.
come out and say, "Okay, everybody, we're a dictatorship now."
No.
That's not the way it's going to happen. It's a totalitarian creep, like Tim Houston creep, and I think I just lost my train of thought. But,
it's all good. All to say, guys, if you want to ask Jeff a question, because that's the whole point. That's why I do my show lives. I want to hear from you guys. So leave a comment in the comment section. If you're on Next, make sure to like, make sure to restream the stream. But join us on YouTube at the Political Orphans and join the conversation that you're seeing popping at the bottom here. And once you're there, like, subscribe, but ask questions. Because we still have you for like 15 minutes, give or take, because you need a minute to change to another stream because you're in demand. But
I got another interview soon. Yeah,
we'll just continue taking questions because that was the whole point.
Yeah.
You and I will get the chance to sit down and go in details over this, but I want to give a chance to the people out there to talk to patriots like you. So Sylvie's asking, is Axel a smoker? Because that might just be why you were fined 25 grand. Oh no, he wasn't even with you.
Well, he's a very handsome dog, so
oh, he's smoking hot.
Yeah. So he's a hot guy like me. That could be.
Oh Jesus!
we could really burn it up out there.
So that's pretty much why you were actually fined. It's because you're too good looking for the woods. The woods are too dry, and they might just catch fire. Oh Jesus!
You know what I'm talking about. It's a blessing and a curse, right?
Amen, brother. Amen. I've never been able to start fires remotely yet. Maybe one day I'll reach your level, but right now I haven't been able to do that.
Oh,
the BTC microdoser is asking, the courts in Canada are captured by judges that Trudeau installed, 95% give or take. Aren't you concerned about that? So basically it comes back to, do you think, you know what? I'll expand to his question. I would say, are you worried that they're going to make an example out of you?
Well, worrying never did look good for anybody, so I try not to engage in it. I don't think that I'm terribly worried about that. I mean, I understood all that. I've been seeing it in the courtroom over the course of the last 5 years too. It's been like almost nothing but bad precedent. We got the EMA win, and everything else has been junk. So that is absolutely a concern in that regards. But at the same time, it's still our best hope of a chance of success. Not like we can rely on our politicians, like they're basically captured as well, and especially the Liberal Party. But
and that's on both sides of the aisle. If you
yeah, it is. I think that the chief concern is with the Chinese interference in the Liberal Party, but it is on both sides. So yeah, I'm certainly concerned when it comes to, like, I'm not confident. I would say I don't have confidence in the legal system. It's not a justice system; it's a legal system, and I have not been encouraged by almost any of the decisions that I've seen coming out in the last several years. But I think that highlights why it's important to raise public awareness about these things too, because only just recently we started to see politicians weighing in on Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. So I think that it's important for those judges to know that people, not just people, but important people, are watching them very closely. This is a two-prong attack on my part, I guess. I'm trying to attack in the cultural space at the same time that I'm dragging them into that legal battle space. So I'm flanking them.
It's all done on purpose. Mark Nixon, what's going on, brother? Another fellow conservative content creator. He's asking, so he's saying, thanks, Jen, for the amazing podcast. I'm curious about the tax added to the ticket. I'm also curious. Do you have the ticket with you? Is it around?
It's in the other room. I can grab it if you want.
Yeah, go. You know that other people are going to ask you, so you should leave it there. But what's going on, Mark? What's going on? So let's see. I'm curious. That's a good question, because I'm also very, very curious to see what are the taxes for, although we're in Canada, right? So I'm not surprised that there are taxes by any stretch of the imagination. But what was it, like $3,500 in taxes added to the $2,500 because it was what 28,500 something.
Okay, just give me a minute here. Let's see. So, yeah, the fine is for $28,872.50. And they don't have, it's just the total that's put in there. They don't have like an itemized breakdown of, because it's a $25,000 fine, and the rest of it is taxes, court fees, and victim surcharge, apparently. I said that in the video. I was like, because I victimized somebody, apparently. Okay.
So there's no line items telling you what the taxes are?
No, and they're not shown here, but they said in the, when I was there, they said like there's a long form for the fine that's actually going to delay the procedure by several months. So they just gave me a summary offense ticket. I guess there would be more detail on the long form. This is really just a note that says, more paperwork to follow. But the offense took place on this date. So that's when, processes kick into place and deadlines are set and that kind of thing.
So in your video, he mentions a date like September, right? And you were kind of surprised. You're like, oh wow, that fast. But do you think that's going to be delayed? Or do you think they're going to stick by the mid? Because I think you said mid-September somewhere along those lines, right?
The way I understood it, all I have to do really is contest the ticket. I just have to state my intention to contest the ticket by 12th of September, or it's an automatic guilty finding after the 12th of September. So that was my takeaway from our conversation.
Let me take this because I love those type of comments. What the fuck's this show and who is Jeff? The show is the Political Orphans, where people from different political views. I'm a conservative. I don't know what Jeff considers himself. Somewhere, not a liberal, a classical liberal.
Probably. Liberal, yeah. I'm a Hayek man. I like Hayek.
Well, there you go. So we get people from different political views, and we speak about what's going on. We argue about what's going on, and we present our case. We show our work. That's what we do. And Jeff Evely, you know what? I'll let you answer. Who the fuck is Jeff Evely?
I'm nobody, man. That doesn't matter.
He's just a patriot.
An issue of principle at play here. It doesn't matter who I am.
Amen, brother. Very, very well said. Is there something you want to tell people out there? Because there's so many comments. Like the comments are just flooding and flooding and flooding. But we have 10 minutes to go, or like 9 minutes, because I'll give you a minute to join your other live. But is there something you want people out there to either do to realize about you? Because I like the fact that you're saying that you're a nobody, which it's fucking bullshit. You're a Canadian patriot. So that is something we need. We need more guys like you. We need more guys like me to have the balls to speak about those things, to do the right thing. So what do you want people to know out there?
Well, I think I pretty much already covered it.
But repeat it because the count of of viewers just keep on going. So just repeat it.
So what I was kind of alluding to previously there was, we're the nation that says lest we forget, and lest we forget doesn't mean let's just get out there and do another funeral for these guys once a year. It means lest we forget what they stood for, unless we all unless we forget that we all have a sacred civic duty to safeguard that inheritance, those freedoms and those rights for generations to come. And if anything, I think it's camping rules. We should be trying to move the ball forward very clearly. We've lost a lot of ground over the last several years, so we have to retake that ground before we can even have a hope of ushering in a brighter future for our children and grandchildren. I'm a grandfather now. That's weird, but at the same time. But at the same time, I'm just like, my grandson was just born into slavery, for crying out loud. He has to pay the Canadian state in order to be born. I mean, not in order to, that might be not what I mean to say, but he owes us money for being born. Like, he's born in debt. So he owes his labor to the Canadian state. If that's not, and you can't opt out, like there's a gun to your head, there's going to be income taxes extracted from, wealth extracted and all this to pay for the theft that has taken place over the last decade. So that's definitely not the country that I signed up to serve. That's not a free citizen, my own grandson. So And my son, he's a permanent renter, and and his grandfather got basically a mansion for the price of a sea can. So we're clearly heading in the wrong direction.
Especially considering that right now, as we speak, as per Food Bank Canada, 1 out of 4 Canadian is struggling to afford daily necessities. 1 out of 4 Canadians. This has never been this high. We've never seen anything like it. So you're absolutely right. And for the people out there on the stream, no matter if you're on X or YouTube, make sure to leave a comment. Make sure to leave questions. We still have 6 minutes. I can ask questions until I'm blue in the face, but I get access to Jeff pretty much whenever the fuck I want. What do you guys want to know? I want to take some questions from you guys. So what do you guys want to know from Jeff? Do you have any questions for him? We got 5 minutes. So leave us some questions in the comments below. I want to address them, or I want to let Jeff address them. But man, it's great. It's great that we have guys like you in Nova Scotia. I'm starting to see, obviously, in Alberta, people are already starting to voice their dissatisfaction with the past 10 years of liberal policies. Well, what do you think the rest of the country can do, like in Quebec, in Ontario, in Saskatchewan? What do you think they can do to kind of follow your example? Because it's clever. What you did, as I said it before, it's very fucking clever because you did it with no violence. You did it the right way, respectfully, and nobody can hold you accountable for being for being violent, right? It comes down. It was so clever the way you did it. But what do you think other people should do in the rest of the country that are not in Nova Scotia?
Well, as I've been highlighting, generations of unborn Canadians are counting on us to be big people about this. It's a war. It's not going to be won in a single battle. We got to handle it like pros. We can't be losing our heads every time the pressure is on. That is the thing about pressure, is when it's on, people will show you who they really are. We need to let cooler heads prevail here. So, when I was doing podcasting, I would always sign off by saying, stay frosty. And I think that's what everybody needs to do. If you act out of anger or act out of fear, you will live to regret it. So stay frosty, keep a level head, and be a pro. I mean, it's not fair. None of this is fair, but it's war. So, it's just basically 2 things you got to remember when you're going to war. And number 1, don't take it personally, because if you take it personally, then you're not going to last. You're going to burn out. And number 2, you're not going to save all the children. That's just the way it is. So, in order to keep a level head under that kind of pressure, that would be my advice. And just embrace the chaos. A lot of people are not comfortable in the chaos. I get that, but you need to get comfortable, and you need to embrace it. And I guess I'm kind of built for this stuff. I get that. I almost don't feel normal unless I have chaos at this stage of my life. So I do tend to run toward it, as you can see. And that has a kind of therapeutic benefit for me right now, believe it or not. I appreciate that not everybody's coming into it like that, but at the same time, we have the future to think about, and unborn Canadians who are counting on us.
And I like what Mark Nixon is saying. For the Canadians that thinks it's going to stop in Nova Scotia, it doesn't, and it won't. And I totally agree. That's why I was asking. It's pretty much in line with what I was asking. What could because if I was in Nova Scotia, I would do the same thing you did, just to make sure that it keeps attention there, that people realize what's going on there. And I just don't know I don't see other laws that can be easily broken in the way that you did it. Because again, how can we fight the government? You make them look stupid. You laugh in their faces and you expose how ridiculous they are. This is how you change or overthrow a government, not with violence. We can't win that war. We can't win it with violence. But at the end of the day, let me ask you this. This is going to be our final question for you. What would you like to see happening? Is your goal to have Tim Houston removed from being a premier? What would make you say that you accomplished something? What would you like to see?
Tim Houston tried and hanged at The Hague for crimes against humanity, especially in light of the outcome of the vaccine mandates and passports that he got elected on a promise not to impose. In January of 2022, we saw 10 times the number of so-called COVID deaths in Nova Scotia as we saw in November of 2022. And, the abuses just kept up with the 2023 wildfires and now the 2025 summer. So yeah, I mean, I know that's a pretty outrageous goal to most ears, but that is the precedent. And I don't believe in the death penalty. I should be clear about that. I don't think the human beings are sufficiently competent to be trusted with matters of life and death when it comes to their fellow humans. But yeah, I would take a line out of Michel Juno Katsoya when he was testifying before our Commons Committee about the level of Chinese interference into our politics. And he said, yes, there should be jail time. It approaches treason. So, yes, I think that we need to set an example for future leaders as well, that, you better learn to lead instead of just coercing all the time with your constant abuses of power. So I think that there should be jail time, yes. The standard is higher. The standard is higher for people in positions of power. So jail time.
100%. But at the end of the day, I believe in the death penalty. So that's where you and I are a bit different. I do believe in taking people in the back of the shed. There's examples like this one that are, if it's going to be unconstitutional, they should be held at a higher standard. I completely agree with you on that one, that because they're elected officials, they should know better. We elect them to be responsible for us, but they work for us, and we don't get to fire them, but maybe we could get to hang them. So, to use your expression, I'm not the biggest fan of a hanging, but hey,
no, me neither.
That's a great consequence.
Yeah, I know. But that is the precedent. So I think it really helps to drive home the point that these people, we all live under the same rule of law, and these people need to face justice too.
100%. I'm gonna let you go because I know you have another interview. Thanks for the people that commented. Thanks for doing what you're doing. I will for sure talk to you on Wednesday. And guys, thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure to make sure to restream the stream if you're on X. If you want more of these conversations, join us at the Political Orphans on YouTube, because we have those conversations 5 times a week, 2 hours a day. So thank you and have a good weekend.